This week we're going to expand on some of the concepts we've gone over in the past on parallel compression. We're going to show you some advanced techniques, and I hope this kind of triggers some thoughts in your mind about some unique ways to use conventional ideas. Once again, I'm going to show you a band I really like out of Chicago, AVM, Robert Mackey. Great song. This is called I Want to Know. Now here's a piece of the vocal as it appeared on the record.
Create confusion, that's how they play.
Okay, now what I've done is, here's my parallel chain. See, it says vocal comp. Now, this is where I'm sending to it. Let me play it without it.
Create confusion, that's how they play.
Okay, now what I've done is a couple of weird things here. Let's turn this off. I'm using an L2 as my compressor that I'm using for my parallel chain. Now, why an L2? Why not? It just, what an L2 does is it keeps things hovering kind of right in your face a little bit, which is what we're trying to accomplish. So let me show you.
Create confusion, that's how they play.
So that's all we're doing. We're just knocking off a little bit. Pretty simple stuff. You heard before, you heard the after. Now, I kind of wanted a little more, so here's a standard preset, haven't touched it. Dancing Electronic, Nectar Electronic. This is the Nectar by Isotope. I'm adding this after the compressor. Okay, so we heard it with just the L2. Now I want to play, I decided I've got this sitting here, let me see if I can get a little more usage out of it. So I love this preset on Nectar. I've been using it a lot lately. You'll see the name of the preset here. So I'm adding that. Now this is just the parallel chain now.
Create confusion, that's how they play. A world of trouble.
Now you'll notice that the volume goes down because I wanted a little less with this guy. So here's what we got with everything.
Create confusion, that's how they play. A world of trouble.
Okay guys, so let's see what it sounds like with just the vocal, and then I'll bring in the parallel.
Create confusion, that's how they play. Create confusion, that's how they play. Create confusion, that's how they play.
We're getting an in-your-face vocal sound because of the compression. We're keeping the dynamics from the original sound, but we're having the effects stay at a constant level because the effects are coming after the compressed parallel chain. With me? Okay. So let me play you the bass sound without parallel compression, the way I fixed it for the mix. Okay, now this is what we're going to do to it. I'll play you the after in a minute. Here's my parallel chain. What I decided I wanted to compress the bass, but to do it with a couple of saturation techniques. So I'm using this Brainworks plugin. Basically, it's a sophisticated saturation plugin, and then I'm feeding it to one of the all-time classics, the MacDSP AC2, which is a tape emulation. I can't tell you exactly what I've done, but it looks like I'm using, well, you can figure it out for yourself. It's just, it's not so important what my exact settings are, as it is important for you to try and use any of the dozens of tape simulators out there. These are two of my favorite. But instead of using a compressor to compress, use some old analog tape to compress and then mix that back in. So our parallel chain is actually not a classic compressor, but tape emulation. So now here's the Brainworks. Now here's the AC2. Okay, let's add that back into our bass. Without it. With it. Here again, it's a hair louder than I would probably use it, but you can see that it just adds a clarity, it adds a, who knows what it adds. Sometimes you have to think about, like with kick drums, sometimes when you want to hear the kick drum in the mix, it's not about adding more low end to it, it's about adding some top end to it. With bass, it's the same thing. Sometimes when you can't hear the bass, maybe you might want to add a little distortion color to it. And sometimes you might want to add some tape saturation, which actually is a different form of distortion. Or it could be the same depending on the original distortion you use. But don't think of it as distortion, think of it as harmonics, and we're adding a rich collection of harmonics to the bass sound in order for our ear to help our ear find it in the mix a little better. So guys, today we've shown you a couple outside the normal realm of thinking ways to use parallel compression without classic compressors, but to try other things. I might suggest try parallel compressing with, say, an SPL transient designer. Try maybe Waves Trans X. Try any of the other great transients. I think Sonox makes one that's really good. And then don't be afraid to experiment with L2007, or hell, try taking your favorite setting on Ozone 5 and parallel compressing into that. Whatever it takes, just see what you get, and probably it's going to sound pretty good. Okay, guys, next week.